Hey guys, Knurrat here, and today I wanted to bring you my Firefist deck that I cogged with just yesterday. Firefist being the new deck from the new box we've gotten recently. And people pretty quickly dropped it, which I think was a bit premature because I think the deck is pretty decent. Definitely one of my easier cog runs even. Looking at the tier list, I can't see it making a spot for itself, but if people optimize it further, maybe there is a list that actually makes the turn 1 board consistently, and that could be very competitive. It definitely can give the good decks a run for its money, which you will see later. So, looking at the deck list, I'm running Crystal Power for the extra attack boost. So, Crystal Power, what it does is for every face-up continuous spell, your monsters gain 200, and you can do that once per turn. So it's kind of like Old Beatdown. It's pretty good, especially against big beaters like Blue Eyes, or just getting lethal is often very important. So that your little guys can lethal with one of the bigger guys. So going into the main deck, we run one Eland. This is the new ritual monster. Some people say he's kind of bricky and they don't want to run it. I think he just ups the power ceiling so much. Can't see how you don't run it, and I actually ran the stats, and with the current list I have, you see I have 20 cards. My brick ratio is about 15%, which is the lowest out of all lists I've seen. So, and that is with Eland. Obviously, you could like up the number a bit lot higher, but then you miss out on the monster negate, which is one of the most important interactions in this deck. Looking at the list, you have the monster negate and the spell trap negate, and these are your two interactions during your opponent's turn, which you can access consistently. So I think they're pretty important. So since we run Eland, we run Elephant. We run 2. I only own 2, but looking at the stats, if you run a third Elephant instead of the second Spirit, you will make your percentage to open Eland or even Eland and counter trap board by about 8%. But your brick percentage will also go up a lot because you lose out on the spirit. Because if you think about it, Elephant can't special itself, so having 2 Elephant in your starting hand is often bricky. Because if you can't discard the other one, it's just a dead card. So as I said, we run 2 Spirit. This is the flex slot. You can definitely only play 1. I can get into that later. We run the Swallow. Swallow is one of the more techy slots, but I don't want to miss it right now, just because a lot of the things target right now, back row for example, or everything in Harpies. If you have Swallow against Harpies, like you just slam him down and they didn't interact before, that's it for that interaction. They can't do anything and you can just solitaire your turn. Next up we have Ram. People at the start said, yeah, like 1 Ram is enough, but I think Ram is the best level 3 in this. So if you normal summon him, you can get a fire formation, and if he's special, you can get a fire formation for free. So if he's normal summoned, you have to discard. If he's special summoned, you don't have to discard. So yeah, that's just a +1 on a fire formation, and without a fire formation, you can't play. You can see the combos later. So that's why we run 3 Ram. Only 2 Rooster. Rooster gives you a monster, and that's also important. If you don't have the Elephant access, Rooster can give you the Eland. And Rooster can also swap your fire formations. So if you go the Horse Spirit combo, you go into Rooster, and Rooster can set up your counter trap, for example. Or you can just go Horse Prince and special the Ram, and Ram gets the counter trap. The good thing about Rooster is he also gets you the monster, so you can get your follow-up, for example. You can get a Spirit. Next up, self-explanatory. 3 tanky, best card in the deck, obviously. Dome is needed for Eland. I was thinking about a second Dome because you can activate Dome turn 1 and it's actually kind of a monster reborn, but I think that's more merit in a more like level 4 centric build. Then the 1 Yoko, you have to run this at 1. This is so good because it's so accessible and you often have the discard fodder and it just deals with so much, like boss monsters, floodgates, anything like big beaters. You can just Yoko them away and you don't even care about the discard most of the time. Next up we have Tensu. It's a 3-off because even though Tanky is better by a lot, Tensu is not once per turn. which is important, and it can give you the ability to play through back rows. So you can Tensu, summon Elephant, they do something against it, you still have your normal summon. And then the one-off counter trap, obviously. So for the extra deck, pretty self-explanatory. We want one Vulcan, because it's a Beast Warrior Fire. You can do it with Spirit, it bounces, so it's non-destruction removal. You have 2 Horse Prince, because this card is just insane, that's why it has like a bunch of restrictions. We have the 1 Lion Emperor, so you can recycle your Spirit. And then for the flex slots, since I don't do rank 4 Xyz play ever in this list, I put in utility cards like Alucard and the Core Beige package. So why do I do this? The only thing this deck kind of struggles to deal with is like face down monsters, face down cards, because you can negate face up monster effects, but face down monsters, they will trigger in the damage step, so you can't negate them. So what's helpful is to Alucard or Core Beige them away. So like for example, Spirit Stone you can negate in the end phase, but like any flip, you see random stuff on ladder. This package hasn't come up that often, but we have the luxury to play them, so we do it. What's also interesting is Giga Brilliant. It buffs all monsters by 300. So with Crystal Power, for Eland to get over a Spirit Dragon, you need 3 fire formations, right? Because every fire formations would be 300. So this has 2,400, and so you need 3 of them, right? For 900 buff, goes to 3k. But with Giga Brilliant, you can actually boost by 300 and only need 2 fire formations. Why is that important? It's important because then you can run over the Spirit Dragon while still setting up your counter trap, which otherwise you can't. You need all 3 spells face up and then you have no counter trap to interact. So that's why this also has a neat purpose for that. So what I see a lot of people doing is play Buffalo. Buffalo raises your ceiling a lot higher, because with Buffalo you can run Cardinal. Cardinal is a 2 level 4 Fire Fist monsters. You detach 2 Xyz materials, then you shuffle 2 Fire Fist or Fire Formations cards from your graveyard or field into the deck, and 2 cards from your opponent, you shuffle those 2. So this is basically a game ender. And with Buffalo you can make it pretty easily, because you have Dome on field, you send Dome and something else to the grave to special Buffalo, then Dome will trigger, getting you the Elephant from the grave, and then you have 2 4s, which you can then overlay into the Cardinal. I opted to not run the Buffalo because the 21st card, adding it will increase your break probability by 3%, and for Cork I just wanted the most consistent list. You can also go like 1 Spirit and 1 Buffalo, also works, but I decided to go with this. Another tech slot you can run is Tensen. Same deal, it's increases your break probability by like 4%, but Tensen is a easier out to big beaters, and it's very good with Swallow, because Swallow protects from targeting, but you can run over it. It only has 2,000, right? But with Tensen it gets much bigger. And the last card you can run is Gyoku. The problem with Gyoku, even though it's very strong going second, you cannot activate it turn 1 because there's nothing to target. So otherwise I would definitely run it. Just another name for the spells, but it's practically dead turn 1. So that's it for the deck list. Let's show you some replays. So we have this replay first. It's against Yubel, so if you see Yubel you think it's either some meme Yubel deck or it's Thunder Dragons. So since they're on a win streak of 3, it's probably Thunder Dragons. Then you see the deck count, 25, so even more probable that it's Thunder Dragons. We go second, so they just set a monster. We have what I call the Trinity combo, so you have all the little guys, right? You have a tanky and 2 of the little guys. So what you do with the tanky is you search the ram. This also works with Tensu, because Ram just gets you the other fire formation. So you normal summon the Ram, you discard the Raven, and you get the other fire formation. Then you flip it up. So you can normal summon the Spirit, which specials the Raven, gets the Eland. This is where you get the Eland. And then the Rooster also gets the Dome. I opted to not go into the ritual here, but instead go for Horse Prince. So I can make a bigger board and recycle my Spirit. Because I already have the counter trap in hand, right? So let me go Crystal Power. It's a bulb. And after seeing the bulb, I knew there was Thunder Dragon. But I swung in anyway, giving them the Allure. Because the skill Allure skips their draw phase to give them an Allure. Thunder Dragons don't play a lot of spell traps. So I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna bait them into getting the Allure, so I can negate it and they're practically -1, and that I get to use out of the Sinto, which I wouldn't against Thunder Dragons unless they have Melody of Awakening. So I put the damage. They do go for the Allured buy, skip their draw phase, activate Allure, and that's where we counter. So they have 3 cards left in hand, and they couldn't do anything with these 3 cards last turn anyway. So they go Bulb, special summon it, and it's a brick. So from here on out, I can just go into Eland, get the counter trap again. And you see I played Yoku here still. But yeah, I cut it because it was dead turn 1. So they have Sphere Kuribo. Sphere Kuribo you can actually negate because it's not damage step. And I also, because I sent the Dome, I was thinking, okay, if they have another Sphere Kuribo, or like a normal Kuribo, the Dome will get me my Rooster back, and he has 1,500. So even if this attack was negated after in the damage step, I still had the other attack. Alright. Next up is a replay where I want to show you the turn 1 combo, the extended turn 1 combo as I like to call it. Which means you set up the full negate board plus Horse Prince, which gives you follow-up and a threatening board. So you see this hand. You have a fire formation, you have Ram, and you have Elephant, and that's all you need for the extended combo. So you go Tensu, take the first normal summon. This is important for the extended combo because you need your second normal summon later. You special summon the Ram. Ram gets you the ritual spell. Elephant shuffles back, gets you Eland. Then you activate the ritual spell. And now, normally, what I did when I wasn't as good with the deck, I just got the counter trap here and was done with my turn. But you actually don't have to do that. You can discard it, and you haven't used Tanky yet, and you have your second normal summon. So you go Tanky into Spirit, use your second normal summon, get the Ram, Synchro into Horse Prince, which will special out the Rooster. The Rooster will give you a follow-up play in the second Spirit, and then the Rooster can set up the counter trap. So now this board is much more threatening, right? And like with the same cards, we got, instead of just having Eland, the spell, and the counter trap, we got a Horse Prince for free, a Rooster for free, and a Spirit for free. So now it's your opponent's turn. In this case, always be careful. If you want to negate with Eland, don't use the only spell you have, because then your counter trap is off. So just get rid of the Rooster, it's fine, you have follow-up plays anyway. Like any monster will get you a Tanky with the Eland. So there's Super Heavy Samurai, and I know that Super Heavy Samurai is very reliant on the normal summon, so I'm just waiting for them to use the Flutist to special summon from hand. They equip, and then they use the Flutist, and I negate. I get the Search. Then I was a bit scared when they added this, because they can special summon, but they just didn't do anything else with it. So yeah, after that I just discarded the Elephant to get my Tanky. Tanky searches Rooster as another beatstick. Then you go Crystal Power. We go Crystal Power first. So we get the boost now. You can search a Tanky here actually and just leave the Tanky face down because Crystal Power just is a one-time trigger. So even though the spell isn't on board anymore, you still have the boost. But this is enough for lethal, they concede. Alright. Next replay is a bit of a funnier one, I think. I think this was against Heroes. Oh no, it's Blue Eyes. Okay. So the next one is against Heroes. Okay, so they open up with the alternative and the stone, very good opener. Go Spirit Dragon, and they don't have back row, so that's a relief. So just have to deal with the Spirit. The other Blue Eyes is a bit annoying, but we can somehow play around it, but you'll see how this goes. So looking at the hand, we have Elephant and 2 fire formations. So my first thought was going to Rooster combo, but we drew the Ram too, so we have options here. I got the Rooster anyway. Used the Tensu for the second normal summon. Elephant. Specials the Ram. Ram gets the Ritual. We want to set up the Ritual as soon as possible here. So as a Blue Eyes player, if you see the Ritual, before I activate the Ritual, you want to tag out so I can't negate the tag out. But obviously I have 2 spells already. And then I go Eland to get another spell. If I had a monster in hand, I could have gotten Yoko, popped the Blue Eyes, and just gotten through both. So activate this, go Crystal Power, and now my monster is big enough. So what my opponent does here is use the Spirit Dragon effect to tag out, which is a big mistake, because what I can do now is negate the tagging out and also get rid of 1 spell, which doesn't boost, so it's still bigger than the Blue Eyes, and I get a replay to kill the Blue Eyes. So what I do here, Dome, get the Raven, run over the Blue Eyes, Raven goes face, and that's it. And we have another negate now. So this is a threat, the alternative, because it's an inherent summon, so I negate the stone. They go Protector, special, another Sage. Go Alt Evo, pop, go into Vermilion. So they managed to break my board here, but the thing with Fire Fist is you just have to deplete your opponent's resources a bit and survive, and you can see what 1 Tanky is able to do here. I didn't even need the Tanky because I had the Spirit here. So Spirit gets Rooster, Rooster just adds a monster. I go Tanky to get Elephant. Swap the Tanky for a Tensu, so I get another normal summon. Then I go Horse Prince. For the Ram. Ram gets me the counter trap. So you can see, like, from 1 card I'm just able to plus so much just by surviving that 1 turn. Getting the Yoko. Activate Yoko, pop the Vermilion. They can get a tuner, but I don't care. So I can overlay here for the Lion Emperor to get my Spirit back, so I have another Horse Prince play or Vulcan next turn. So we go Crystal Power to flex, and that's game. Alright, next replay. Okay, so this is the hero play I was talking about. You see some of the replays aren't platinum just because I wanted to show some basic stuff in these replays. The cog run will be later in this video. So they go first. They go Stratos and let's go Ferris, and you'll see what they do with this combo. So they just built the Great Wall of Heroes, get a poly, and that's it. So looking at this board, I can see Celestial Engrave, that's a threat, and the Poly in hand is a threat because they have resources. 2 cards, I don't know. These could be heroes. They could fuse, they can draw another hero, and then they can draw 2. So I want to set up both negates in this case, which I can do because I have the Elephant and the Ram combo, and I also drew both of these, funny enough. So what I do here is just shuffle it back to get the Swallow, just for an extra card. Go Ritual. Use the Tensu so I can summon the Spirit. And go Horse Prince. And Rooster gets me my follow-up play. And the Eland uses the Swallow that we got for free to set up the counter trap. So now we said we have the Monster Negate and the Spell Trap Negate, and we can run over all the heroes. We also got the Tanky for the next turn. Go Crystal Power and run over everything. So you will see something very interesting here, and that is they have Offerings to the Doomed, and they target my Eland. So I have the counter trap, but I decided to not counter trap here because I know they have a Poly in hand, and that's a way to empty their hand and get the Celestial live. They also have a Malicious, so they have material, and they can just Trinity me from here, right? If these are 2 heroes, or like 1 Stratos and any other card, they can just get the Malicious, go Trinity, also draw 2 cards and do whatever they want. So I decided to just let my Eland go. They have Vian, which mills a card. They go Malicious, get another Malicious, and then they realize I have a counter trap for their Poly, they can't Trinity, and they surrender. Okay, this is the last replay before we go to the Cog Run. And this is one of the more important replays because it is against Harpies. So we go first here, and there ties Harpies. If you go first against Harpies Hunting Ground, that's really tough. Against Harpies Hunting Ground, if you go second, that's a lot easier. Against ties, you're fine either way. So you can see we have Elephant and Tensu, Tanky, and Ram, so we're free to do whatever we want. We just get the Spirit for follow-up, or for the extended combo this turn even. You know this combo by now. We go Elephant, Ram. Ram gets the Ritual. So Eland. Use the second summon. Go Horse Prince. Which gives you Rooster. Rooster gives you Ram. You discard the Ram for the Fire Formation. So what I'm seeing right now for this extended combo, this was a Plat replay, and after that I realized it's just better with Rooster to get a second Spirit as follow-up and let the Rooster swap out the Tensu for the counter trap. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. We swapped it for a Tanky, but this can get popped. The Spirit in hand can't. So they set a card and then start to make their plays, which is already a mistake because I know they have less cards to work with. Against Channeler, you can always use the negate because they use a card and then you still have the counter trap for a Egotist, which is their only follow-up play. And them having 2 Egotists in hand is very unlikely here. So I just negate this by sending the Rooster because I only have 1 face-up spell. So I'm protected against Egotist plays too. So I just pass, and the back row doesn't bother me because I have the counter trap for it. I tested Bear in this list because in theory Bear can pop a Cyber Slash Harpy, but I later realized that Swallow is just better against Harpy, so I just put in Swallow over Bear. They Floodgate, I just negate because whatever. And then they scoop. Alright. So, time for the Cog Run. So my first game in Legend 5, I played against Gladiator Beast, and Gladiator Beast just funnily just destroys this deck because this deck can't play through counter traps really, unless you have the God hand. It's pretty funny. So the second game, I was going first against Thunder Dragon. I was thinking, oh my god, this is the D rank, but you'll see how this game is going. So we have Tanky and one dead card because we can only use one Tanky, but we have another Fire Formation and the Rooster. So what we do here is, if you see multiple spells and Rooster or Elephant, that's the Rooster Elephant combo. If you see more monsters, you want Ram combo. So I'm going Elephant. Rooster searches the Ram. I got the Ram just to discard it with Eland here. So I play the Yoko just so I can swap it to Rooster. That's why you need the second spell. Go Ritual. And then discard the Ram for Counter Trap. And that's already it. Oh yeah, I knew it was Thunder Dragons because there was a delay all the time. So they go Aloof. And I decided to negate the Aloof because they banished the Dragon Dark, so that means they can only get a search. If this was Roar, I wouldn't have negated, I think, because then they already get on board. But this only gets them something in hand, so I know one of the cards will be dead. Or like pseudo dead, it's like Roar or Hawk, and I'm not scared of Roar or Hawk with these two in the grave, so I just negated the Aloof here, so they can't get the Roar banish. I also get the Dome effect to get Elephant. I decided to get Elephant back because Elephant can shuffle back a card in the grave and get me a +1. Also, Aloof can't run over Elephant in death because it's 180. So they go for a Roar. Go Level Dupe, targeting the Aloof. Then they Roar back. This is why I negated it, because now they have to do funky plays like this to actually get on board. Like, you don't want a Dragon Dark in hand, really. They had the Hawk here, so they overlay here into M7. Bounce the Eland, and go Levianeer, destroy my board, and go for 2700. Not enough to lethal me. So I draw the Tensu. At this point, I know they have 2 Dragon Dark in hand. Right? They discarded one, they already showed me, but so I know if I break this board, I'm in a pretty good position because they have random Dragon Darks in hand. I go for Spirit, best follow-up play, obviously. Use the second normal summon. Ram, because Ram is a free spell. If I had Yoko still, it would have gone for Yoko because Eland doesn't do anything anymore. But we had to use the Yoko turn 1, sadly. So Horse Prince will special summon. Rooster gets the Ram. Normal summon Ram because we haven't normaled yet. Lion Emperor to get me my Spirit back for the next follow-up. Activate the Tensen because we need to get over 3k with both. So we swing. We're at 1300. They have 2 darks in hand, I believe. Oh no, they had 1 dark in hand. Okay, so I miscounted there. But yeah, they go into Dragon Duo and had the normal summon Raiden, which doesn't do much. I see they milled a Sphere Kuriboh here, so that was for me a sign that I should be careful of Sphere Kuribohs. They run over the Lion Emperor with the Dragon Duo, banish the Hawk to get Roar, and then use Hawk effect to shuffle both. So I was thinking, okay, he's trying to fish for Sphere Kuriboh. So second normal summon, go Spirit, Rooster gets Swallow, go second Horse Prince for a Ram, tribute the Ram for Swallow, And now we have 3 big boys. So my goal is to get rid of the Dragon Duo, that's it. And if they have Sphere Kuriboh, they are left with 2 cards or so against my big board. If they don't, they die here on the spot. They didn't have Sphere Kuriboh, so I again went for game. Okay. Up to the next replay. So we have Yami Yugi, a face I always like to see because Destiny Draw is my favorite skill in the game. So they go first, just set a card. So I have a handful of spells and Elephant. So in this case I go for Rooster. Normal summon Tensu, in case that's a disruption. Go Elephant, special Rooster. Get the Spirit. Get my Eland. Swap for Counter Trap. In case something happens here to the Ritual Summon. Which does. Yeah, they have Canadia, but we have Spirit. Go into Horse Prince. Horse Prince bring out the Rooster. So you can see here, because they're Yami Yugi, I went for Rooster, and the cool thing is you can always get Rooster to like, if you time the Crystal Power right, you can get Rooster to under 2000, but still enough so you have lethal on board. So they have Kiteroid, which I expected. I attacked with the Rooster, and then I passed turn. So they don't get the Destiny Draw. They go for the Fire King Island. They only have 2 cards in hand, so in this case I go for the Sinto, and they need another spell trap here to activate their place. They have Lightning Vortex, which destroys my board, but they have nothing left. I have Eland, of course, and a top deck the Spirit with already tanky in hand. Doesn't really matter. This is always lethal, because they only have 1 Kiteroid, and with a Horse Prince play into Rooster, we can definitely lethal here. Oh, we didn't have Rooster left, but it's fine. We get another Fire Formation. We didn't activate the Tanky yet. We go Tanky. And this should still be lethal through Kite. We also set up the Counter Trap, so even if they don't die here, they are on top deck, and we have negations for everything they could have drawn. So you can see here 1300, and either one of these attacks will kill them. They have Kiteroid, they negate, doesn't matter because we have the other attack. And even if we didn't kill them, we have 2 negates. They can't do anything. That's a state you really want to find with this deck, is to simplify the game state, because then your negates get even stronger, the less card the opponent has. I think the next replay was against Harpies. Yeah, Harpies. So we go second against Harpies. They are on ties. They have 25 cards, but they still open the Perfumer. So it's fine. Go into Cyber Slash. Set a back row, and that's it. So we have the Tensu and the Ram, so, and also the Spirit. So we can do the Trinity combo here. We go Tensu, discard Ram, and we go get the Yoko. So what's cool about Yoko is, you will see right here, you activate Yoko. We didn't use our regular normal summon yet, and we force out the Harpy here. So we Yoko. They go activate the effect because the Harpy will be gone. The cool thing is, the discard happens at resolution, so whatever they bounce, you can actually discard. In this case, it doesn't matter because we already have the Ram, but in some games, I actually baited the opponent to bounce my monster, so I don't have to discard the Spirit and then Spirit it back, which is pretty funny. So we get it back, we discard it, and then we have a Ram Engrave. Get it via Spirit, set up the counter trap, and this turn will only be a Horse Prince play with a counter setup. They just concede here, and that's game. And then the next game. So the last 3 games were against meta decks, like the first 3 games of my COG run, and then you will see what I run into next for the end of the COG. It's pretty funny because these games are I was kinda sweating here, not gonna lie. So we go second against Balance. So who runs Balance anymore? It is Triamid. So they set 2. And you see we have the Swallow. So I was thinking, okay, Swallow is pretty good here. Against Triamid, they can't pulse it. And usually the back row of Triamid is targeting. Rest of that, we have Spirit, which is nice. We have Tensu, and we have Ram. So in this case, I was thinking, okay, the Ram will discard to Tensu because we don't need 2 Tensu. So use our first normal for the Ram. Gets us the Tanky. And then we tribute it for Swallow because I wanted to play around the back row. Get the counter trap too, and then we can Tanky for Elephant. Elephant so we can have plays later. Whatever they do, we can just run over. So run over the monster. They need a monster here. Top deck. Otherwise, any back row, any field spell, I don't really care about. I guess if they have a field spell, they can search. So end phase, they got Triamid Pulse because they didn't read Swallow. They banished 2, and then they realized they actually took a lot of time here and probably trying to figure out or reading Swallow, and then they just decided to destroy the Tensu, which is the best target on the board. So they top deck a King Golem, which triggers the Cruiser. I think I could have negated the King Golem here to leave them stranded. That was a bit of a mistake on my part. They go for Triamid Master. So what they want to do with Triamid Master here is they normal it, and they don't want to get rid of this field spell, so they get rid of the Pulse to pop my back row, and then with King Golem run over Swallow. But this is actually not bad for us because, as I said, you want as Firefist to simplify the game state as much as possible, and you can see we have the Spiritary, we have the Elephant, we have a Ram and Grave, and they're only on 1 back row, field spell, and a monster. If you can get rid of the monster, the field spell isn't very important to us. So we are heading in the right direction. We're using Spirit, getting Ram, and then they chain the Master, which I don't know why, but they do. But this basically tells me, okay, I'm not going for Yoko to force anything. I'm just going to go for the Ritual. But actually I opted to go into Horse Prince just so I can beat over the monster instead. Get another Spirit for follow-up. Go Dome. I just activated Dome so I can do the Rooster swap. Get the Yoko. Because they used the Master effect to swap the field spell. So I can now Yoko the field spell away. They can't chain anymore. And also the Dome will activate in the grave to reborn one of the 3s, which means I can go into Lion Emperor. And Lion Emperor gets me back my Swallow, Crystal Power, and they have another Triamid Pulse, which is why I got back the Swallow. Run over the monster. They can pop my Horse Prince, but they don't have the monster field spell combination anymore, so I don't really care what they do. They pulse, pop it, attack directly, it doesn't matter. And we have a Spirit because we recycled it. And from here on, it's just game. And we still plus like crazy. Yeah, they don't want to have any of this. So, COG rank up game. And this was like, the COG rank up is always the meme decks, I swear. Every time I have like 4 good games, and then the final boss is just whatever. So it's Odeon, so I knew I was in for a ride. And I go first, win and you gain a rank. So I just see Odeon's face and I know, okay, this is gonna be my best friend in this matchup. I have Tanky, Ram, Tensu. So what do I do here? Getting Elephant. So usually you want another monster with these. like with Elephant Ram combo. But in this case, I already have the counter trap. What the extra monster does is get you the counter trap, but we already have it here, so I was going for this play. Normal summon Elephant. Special Ram. Ram gets us Dome. In this case, you can't go extended combo because we already used the tanky and we don't have the spirit. So we just go for a full combo. Set a card. That's it. They set 2 and pass. So I was like, okay, Odeon, what you got? They actually didn't have anything chainable here, so I knew it was gonna be a drowning here. I top deck the spirit because I'm a god, and then just go Horse Prince. I was thinking about playing anything in defense here, just to play around stuff, but then I was like, okay, if that's a normal back row or any like Sphere Kuriboh or something, I'm just missing out on lethal. And I have one counter trap for a drowning. So they would have to have double drowning or drowning and Wall of D. Get the Swallow, because I have another normal summon. Swap out the Tensu, so I can get a follow-up play. And I believe I normal summon the Swallow here, yeah, for targeting stuff. Probably Deep Prison, yeah, Deep Prison Sakuretsu Armor plays around that. I have the resources, so why not? So yeah, Crystal Power, attack, and they actually have the drowning, but yeah, 200 life points. But it doesn't matter, I have Sinto. Attack goes through, because one chain. This is one chain and this is spell speed 3. So then on the second attack I was thinking, okay, do I risk the second drowning? And then I was like, okay, he's Odeon. He's not gonna OTK me. I have the spirit. So if I attack here and get drowning, they won't AOTK me. I'm just gonna spirit and I just start new. I can just spirit, bounce the tanky with Vulcan, for example, etc. Or they don't have the second drowning, and this is just game. Turns out they didn't have the second drowning, and yeah, it was my COG rank up was against drowning Mirror Force. In the end, it turned out they were playing Lunar Light, and the second set card was the Lunar Light trap that if a monster dies. And what also happened is I looked at the deck list and they played one drowning, so they drew the one-off drowning against me and didn't have a play. So yeah, that's my COG run. I hope you learned stuff from the replays. Hope I didn't talk too fast. And yeah, so what I said before is a lot of people tried one Buffalo. I think if you want to go into a tournament, you need a bit higher of a power ceiling. So what I would recommend is you play one Buffalo, you cut the Alucard Core Beige package for 2 rank 4s. Not this. Where's the Tiger King? Here. So you go Buffalo route. You are a bit less consistent, but what's more important is because you now have one more card, you can use these 2 cards for text space. Which, and otherwise in the 20 card list, text space is kind of tight because you want the max consistency. This is kind of your only text slot. So yeah, these cards you can side out then in that case. Alright, thanks everyone for watching, and see you guys around.